This sode would not be possible without the support of our listeners, patrons, and sponsors. If you'd like to learn more about supporting the 3-Bit Gamer Show, check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/3BG. And a huge thanks goes out to our boss-level patrons, Jeff, Christopher, and Patrick.
Keep your antenna tuned to Death Moth Radio as we take a brief commercial break.
Do you suffer from video game addiction?
I don't know, maybe.
Yes?
Well then, do I have a service for you. Introducing IQ4U, the service that will call your boss and tell them where they can stick it.
Where the sun don't shine?
Exactly! 9 out of every 10 people who suffer from video game addiction cite their job as their biggest source of stress.
Every time I play video games at work, my dumb boss is always bugging me to do work. The only thing holding me back from being the #1 Quasi Cupcake player in the world is my boss constantly trying to talk to me. I wish I had the time to just quit so I can focus on my cupcake empire.
With IQ4U, we quit for you, so you can get back to what's important, your video game addiction.
My video game addiction.
My video game addiction.
My video game addiction.
Video game addicts suffer no more. Call IQ4U today.
Death Moth Radio.
And now back to your regular scheduled programming.
You just logged on to the 3-Bit Gamer Show. Welcome to the 3-Bit Gamer Show. I'm JD.
This is Peterson.
And this is Trent.
You thought it was going to end, but Death Moth Radio is forever, boys.
Yeah, that was just a little break from the Death Moth saga. It's like a commercial within the Death Moth world. So we're still there. Guys, we're still there.
Before we move to the news, we'll do our Death Moth episode, right?
Yeah, this is where it goes. We'll start Death Moth right now. Live from the 3-Bit Gamer Show. The news. All right, our news this week is brought to us, as with all weeks, by Crave Cookies. Crave! Crave Cookies is this awesome cookie and soda shop. Ooh, and pretzels too. In Salt Lake City, you can go to cravecookies.com. Check out. They have new cookies every week. And this week, Trent just went nuts. But before we get into this cookie, I have to offer a quick mea culpa. I went to Crave the other day, Trent, and it was 1,000 degrees here in Utah. So I was like, for the first time, I don't know. I'm just never really into those fancy sodas. I've just never been into them. I think I had a couple that just didn't vibe with me. And then I just was like, oh, they all suck. But Jenna and I were there and we both got a drink because we were thirsty. And we even got small drinks because we're like, okay, it'll be too much because they're kind of sweet or whatever. And she got the cranberry. What's your cranberry one? The cranberry splash or whatever?
The cranberry rush.
Cranberry
crush. Oh gosh, it's one of those two.
It was. I don't know what it was. It was like Sierra Mist or something, and then cranberry. And then I got the one that's Mountain Dew and like strawberry puree and some other mango puree or something. Dude. Guys,
yeah. That's Justin's
I
favorite.
am not. I seriously apologize. I have been underselling the drinks at Crave Cookies. Holy shit! Should be called Crave Cookies and Drinks. Because, dude, they are so amazing. Jenna and I both drank our like little tiny sodas, and we're like kicking ourselves. Such idiots for not getting bigger ones. Like they are so good. And not to undersell the cookies, which Trent went crazy with a cookie this week and introduced the Silly Rabbit, which is like the Fruity Pebbles cookie, except for he stuffed it full of raspberry filling, and it's covered in Trix.
Wait,
You forgot. There's a glazed donut in the center,
Dude,
too.
yeah. I tried to describe this
There's a whole
cookie.
glazed donut in the middle?
Yes. I tried to describe this to my family, and they were like, "I don't understand."
I don't understand how a
Dude,
donut
this
goes in a
one's special
cookie.
to me. I've wanted to put a donut in a cookie for like a year. And I've just been waiting and biding my time. And it's
Is it like a donut hole or like a donut?
No. So I wanted to put a jelly donut in the center, but like they're just too big.
Yeah,
so
very tall.
it's actually like a Krispy Kreme. Is it pronounced cruller?
Mhm.
I think. And it's one of those Krispy Kreme donuts, and then the whole of the donut is filled with
Trent,
the
you're a
raspberry
psychopath.
filling, and then it's
you're
closed.
crazy, man.
Oh, dude, it's so
This
delicious.
is I love that this was even too crazy for the Trent all the way back through like the last like year. Trent had to evolve into current day Trent in order to put this cookie on the menu. He was like,
Oh
I'm
my
not that
gosh.
crazy yet, but I will be one day.
But I
And
will
you're
be.
this crazy. So now I don't know what he's unlocked with the silly rabbit. But guys, go to cravecookies.com. Check it out. All right, we've got some video game news. First thing up, one of JD's saddest beats that I like to cover is video game server closers.
You just
They make me
love to
sad.
cover it, don't
Server
you?
deaths.
Server deaths. They just make me so sad because I know entire worlds and entire lifetimes and relationships and friendships have blossomed and been born in these worlds. And then all of a sudden, just unceremoniously, they're just, well, sometimes ceremoniously. Sometimes there's a little ceremony, but generally it's just like,
well, because so many of your favorite games you can go back and play again your whole life, but you can't with
nope,
these ones.
this is, yeah, exactly. You can't go back and recapture like that magic. But this one's not super sad because it's a little, because there's other options. This is GTA Online for PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 will be shutting down on December 16th of this year, which is crazy. Can we just mention that GTA has not gotten GTA 5 will have been on 3 console generations now. No new ones. They just
It's still going strong.
They made
They don't
4
even care.
and 5 for the this Xbox 360 and the PS3 generation, and then they're like, we're just gonna stick on this for 3 consoles. They just never gonna update it. That is wildly lazy, but whatever. So yeah, they'll be shutting these down. But you have some time. I feel like the people that are still playing on PS3 and Xbox 360 probably aren't gonna just go out and upgrade because they're trying to nurse just milk the last like tiny bit of milk out of their console, and they'll just find something else to play on the 360. They're
Dude,
like,
I feel
find
like
some other server that's still up for the 360.
if they, oh my god,
they're not gonna stop. They clearly
Really-
are not gonna stop playing the 360.
just
They
really
are
struggling
dedicated.
to find something that will still work. Some server.
Who still has a 360 that runs? Like, honestly,
That's what I was
I'm
gonna
on my
say.
third 360, and I'm like, I don't know how much longer this one has. Like, did you guys ever have one that like? No one has their original because the original is all red ringed out, and then the black ones they released, those ones pooped out too. So who's like, I just picture like some steampunk 360 that's like, and the guy, like when it starts lagging, the guy opens the hood and hits it with a wrench, like a Soviet, working on a Yugo.
It sprays out some oil at him, and you're like, why is there oil in there?
I gotta
What?
hold that part down with my foot.
As I play, keep pumping. What are you pumping?
Pumping?
What are you-
What are you pumping? No one knows, but if you don't pump, it doesn't work.
He's got goggles on and everything. He's like, oh my gosh.
So yeah, good.
Sorry, guy.
Sorry to the one guy still keeping his Yugo on the road. All right, so this next a bunch of Switch users. This one's actually near and dear to home because this actually happened to Jenna and I. Jenna was trying to download a Switch game and she couldn't get it to download. She brought it into me and she's like, "Can you fix this?" And I was like, "Fix what? It's just downloading." And she's like, "Yeah, well then just do it." I was like, "Oh, what do you make me do it? This is stupid. Look how easy it is." She clicked 2 buttons and it's like, "Nope." And I was like, "Oh, what the fuck? Someone fix this!"
Did you try pumping it?
Did you pump it? I didn't pump it enough.
That's the problem.
Dude, this was a Reddit post, and it said for over a week now, a large number of Nintendo Switch users are unable to download any content, games, or updates to their Switch. Legit just ran into this. It was just like, you tried to download a game, it's like, nope. And then the only advice that Jenna said that they gave you on the troubleshooting or on the forums was like, try it again.
Keep going.
Which is like a descent into madness, because you're like in this like perpetual loop that is not going anywhere.
This guy says spam the download button after 11 tries it worked. Dude, that is pumping. He's sitting there pumping the A button.
Dude,
you gotta prime it.
Okay,
guys, you gotta prime it.
Yeah, dude, did you try it 11 times,
I
Jonathan?
didn't pump 11 times. I thought it was like maybe it was like a lawnmower, and I'd flood the engine if I pumped the
if you did it too much. Yeah, no, not on this. The Switch is definitely built for that. You gotta prime it.
Yeah, dude, it's a solid state hard drive.
10 plus pumps.
You can't break it as easily. It's pretty durable.
Obsessed with a gas-powered video game console now. I need it so fucking bad.
Dude, it's got like the pull string like on your lawnmower.
Dude,
that's
you
how you
just replace
start
the
pull string
PS2
switch
with just like a legit like internal combustion engine.
I don't think anyone would die from the output of the CO2?
I'm sure cooling.
Their basement.
Cooling. I'm sure
It's got a
keeping
really
your
long
components
exhaust
cool.
that comes off the back of it.
Dude, gas-powered PC, JD. Let's make
that's
this
what
happen.
we're gonna need. The chip shortage will be
Kickstarter.
real, and we'll be building our own PSUs out of gas tanks.
Get the oil changed.
Okay, so here's another one, which I'm kind of wondering. Guys, quit pushing Trent. Every time I'm like, what is Avatar is still a fucking thing? I just hear Trent's voice. There's an Avatar land at Disneyland now.
Dude, there's an Avatar land in Disney
Okay,
World.
and it's
And
really
let me
good.
tell you, it is the most magical place. You feel like you are in Fern Gully.
What?
You're not
It is-
supposed to be
yeah,
in Fern
dude.
Gully.
This is
It's the
my
same
favorite
movie.
thing
It
is
is
that
the
this
same
is a
movie.
movie that everyone can collectively agree that they saw, and nobody can remember a single detail from, other than Jake Sully.
I remember everything about it.
Peterson, the thing is you want to like joke on me, but I know you haven't rewatched it in the last 10 years because it is.
Ask me a question about
unwatchable.
Avatar. I'll answer it. I know everything about
What
it.
is
Trent,
it?
what is the name of the main bad guy, the general with the scar on his eye? The main antagonist of the film. What is his name? What is his rank? Just his fucking rank.
I'm sure he's a general.
Nope.
Navi.
He's a
His
colonel.
name's Navi.
No one knows anything about this fucking movie.
Yeah.
I only know shit because I looked it up for this.
I know.
Turuk
I know.
Masao.
shit I'm doing right now.
I know that I learned how to ride one of the dragons.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, what are they called, Trent?
What are those called?
They're called the things the Navi ride.
Trent, how do you spell Navi?
As NA''VI.
Are you sure that's where the apostrophe is?
I am not. No. But it sounds
There is
right.
an apostrophe at some point.
Okay, so I guess Disney is acquired Avatar, and they're just going all in on Avatar. But this story is kind of interesting. This was in IGN, and the article says Disney let Ubisoft Massive make a Star Wars game after a meeting about its Avatar game. So, if you guys remember, we talked about Massive is working on a like an open world Star Wars game. We don't know what it's going to look like, but we're super stoked.
Yep.
And I guess they're also making this Avatar game that we also mentioned. And it was the meeting when they came in and started talking about making the Avatar game that the Disney execs were like, the guys at the Disney, what is this Disney studio called again? Is it Disney Games?
Disney Games.
So Disney Games, which is managing, I guess, Disney IPs and just handing them out to game studios, was like, oh, yeah, you guys will be good for Star Wars games. You
We
get this
really
blue
liked
shit
what
we're
you
doing.
said about Avatar, so
Yeah,
we're going
we
to let
liked-
you do Star Wars.
We liked that you remembered any details from Avatar because nobody else knows anything about it. They come into our office and they're like, we want to make an Avatar game. And the first thing we ask them is like, what color are the Na'vi? And they're like, no.
It's Colonel Quaritch, by the way.
Don't
You
do the
looked
Colonel.
it up. You had to look. You're on
I did not.
IMDb.
It's played by Stephen Lang. I'm not
I'm
looking it
not
up.
directly on imdb.com at all. So what to me, this is like, whatever. It's cool. but the details that I kind of extracted from this are Disney Games is kind of handing out those IPs.
Dude,
It doesn't sound like
they just
all
did
it takes
Pirates
is
of the Caribbean.
one meeting to get a fucking Star Wars game.
Mm-hmm.
One that is not from a studio that is looking to like hold on tight to their IPs.
They're putting it out there. They put Pirates of the Caribbean in an almost dead game.
Dude, I feel like
I can't say that because Danny will yell at me.
I feel like the fact that he was able to like sign off on all this stuff, I feel like the Disney, whoever's in charge of Disney, went to this dude with a mandate and was like, you make us like $50 billion off our IPs in video games. And he's like, I can do that in 10 years. I can do that in 5 years. Just let me do whatever I want. And they're like, here, you can have Star Wars. You can give it out to whoever you want. Like, just make money. And the best part is this happened while EA was still under contract for the Star Wars games. So they were sitting there just like biding their time. Like, God, I can't wait till these assholes contract is up. Cause they're
canceling game after game after game.
And they're just missing out. They're just watching millions of dollars go out the window. So really cool. Look forward to more Disney IPs, thinking Marvel, Disney. So Star Wars, all that fun stuff would be really cool to see.
Willow.
God, Peterson, let it go, man. Okay, so I don't know. You guys remember us talking about how the box art for the Xbox Series X, which is the latest Xbox,
I remember.
And the Xbox One, which is the last generation of Xbox, the box art for their games is identical. And there's like only the slightest, and some games you can play on both.
Yeah.
Some you can only play on one, some you can only play on the other. Some are made for one but can be played on both. And then some are made for both.
They used to have a little black banner that said Xbox Series X and Xbox One. Now they have a slightly larger white banner that says Xbox Series X, Xbox One.
Dude, the design though is so
reminds me of
bad.
Something you'd see on the box art for like a 90s PC game.
I thought it was like the box art you'd see on like a knockoff brand game you'd find in an electronics shop in like Chinatown.
It looks like the display case at Hollywood Video, and they've got the white label sticker that they put on top of it.
Yeah,
they put a white label sticker on there, and that's what this looks like. It is.
You go over to your friend's house, and he's like, "Pull out that game," and it's got the Blockbuster case, and you're like, "Did you steal this from Blockbuster?" And he's like, "Oh no, I bought it. They had it for sale." And you're like, "I don't know if I trust you." You stole this fucking game from Blockbuster. That's what this box art looks like.
Microsoft does so many things right in the game world, but their naming and their design is like confusingly
I just
bad.
feel like, you know, the back of the box where it shows how many players the game is. Just have a little thing that shows right there what system it is with little icons. It just looks so ugly.
I hate it.
It's
the worst.
They just like you said, face plant on naming and design like over and over. I don't know. I don't know how.
I think they've got a lot of money. Clowning. Maybe they're just like, I don't know.
That's what this one intern did for his whole internship too. He was like, they were like, look, we're going to put you at the games division. He's like, cool. Like, okay, we want you to design on the box to say what system it is. He's like, oh, that's it. He spent 2 and 3/4 months playing video games. Mm-hmm. And then in his last
doing research,
his last week or two, he's like, crap. And he just like photoshops a white banner up top and writes in, like, I don't know, that just looks like the default font, and he just writes Xbox Series X on there, and that's it. Turns it in, and they're like, our interns are killing it, you guys. This guy is just fantastic.
They're really proud of their internship program, but they're like, you guys really shouldn't be proud of your kids.
He played video games for 2.5 months.
Yeah,
because I could have designed that art like in an hour.
So, and then our last thing, and this is we saved the best for last. Should we have like a
Aw.
soundbite for where I just like gloss on myself for being super right and predicting the future?
Nostradamus.
You can't just
will you
say
put an
Nostradamus.
echo?
You
Will
have to
say
put your
like,
name
an
in
echo
there.
after that.
Nostradamjadius.
Okay. That was the
You said
worst
put my
one you've
name in
ever
there. I
done.
didn't have time to think about where.
That was the worst one you've ever done. Like, hands down.
Nostradamjadius.
So yeah, you could clip that out and we'll play it. But Facebook, guys, like I promised, will be testing in-headset ads in their Oculus games. That is the VR headset that is literally strapped to your eyes. Mark Zuckerberg will now be fucking your eyes with ads.
I
Ah,
don't want that.
I hate
This
that.
little Zuckerberg robot.
Dude, the announcement kills me. It's just like so funny because it's like you could see this in like the little speech bubble of like a cyberpunk comic book. This is a new innovation in the advertising industry, and it's still early days. We're currently investing in unobtrusive ads as a new way for developers to build businesses. And though we're not quite ready to test them yet, we're also exploring new ad formats that are unique to VR. One is stuffing needles directly into your eye sockets.
The headset will lock around your head, and you will not be able to avoid this ad.
Needles will stab into your spinal column.
You just take the Oculus, you screw it into the pin that we
Yeah,
had to
the
surgically
little
implant
matrix
into your skull.
slot in the back of your neck. That's where your Oculus stick goes.
Dude, and here's
Guys,
the thing.
this is so wild. Imagine buying
Dude, if
one
you
of
wouldn't have
these
deleted your
headsets.
Facebook account, we wouldn't have had to be here.
I just think it's so
It's
crazy
your fault.
that people will buy it. If this was free, if the Oculus headset was free, I'd be like, okay, sure.
Or if the games were free.
Or if
right?
the games were free.
The games were
but you
free.
are paying hundreds of dollars for this ad box by Facebook, and then you pay money for the games that now have ads in them that are targeted to you.
Oh, they're and the announcement, it like didn't even
It's
shy away
bragging
from
about
that they
how
are
targeted they are.
specifically targeted. If you have hovered over something, if
Mhm.
you have viewed something, if you have something in your cart, like they are going to bombard you. And you know how bad Facebook is these days. It is every 2 to 3 posts when you scroll down your wall or your timeline or whatever is an ad. Like they won't start that way, but I'm telling you, in 3 years, you will be just bombarded with Oculus ads. They'll be throwing them up in the corner, and you'll try to like look at a little X to make it go away.
Dude, and it's
They'll
so
be
sick
interactive
that
and
they'll
you
be
can
tracking
play
your
through 'em.
eye motion, and you know they'll be applying that to how they design their product moving forward. Is how
Yes.
tracking the human eye either avoids or looks at ads, what specific ad colors, the things that you can do, the extremely unscrupulous things you can do with just like unregulated data collection that Facebook does.
So
Ah,
what I'm
it's
going to
haunting.
propose is everyone who has an Oculus, when this starts, when you see your first ad, I want you to start spelling out swear words with your eyeballs. Okay,
Yes.
your eye movement. F. Okay, U. Right, just keep spelling them out to send Zuck a message. He won't care, but it'll
won't
be funny
care,
at
no.
least.
Yeah. All right. Let's
Kudos.
move on.
Kudos.
Kudos.
All right, kudos is our positivity segment. We like to give a shout out to something awesome. And this week, I have to pick up where Quados left off last week. I got
Dude.
2 more kudos, you guys.
Yep,
2
he
good
just
ones.
won't stop.
I have so much good stuff. I also
Dude.
have 2 more in the leaks just behind me. But I'll keep those for next week. So my first kudos, this goes out to Little Drive-In, like a classic 50s style drive-in.
Like like food drive-in or movie theater.
No, food drive-in. It's
Got
called
it.
Woody's Drive-In. It's
yeah.
in Midvale here in Utah. It's just north of Crave Cookies, actually. You can grab both. They have the classic drive-in food, burgers, hot dogs, shakes, fries. It's just good. It's just I've lived by this place for decades, and I've driven past it 100 times, and I was always like, it's just some crappy drive-through, or like whatever. It's just like, you just see it so many times. You're like, I never went, so I just never went. But I eventually went the other day because Jen and I, you're just hankering for something new. Like, I need something totally new I've never had before. And this place was so close. And so we went and got it. The burgers are great. The fries are amazing. The shakes, you can't get a bad milkshake in Utah, in my opinion. They're all so good.
Wow.
So yeah, Woody's Drive-In. If you're ever just like if you're shopping by Crave, look them up. It's super dope. And then my other kudos goes to this movie that I saw, I believe, on Hulu. And I turned it on almost as a joke, but then I was like, holy shit. This is excellent. You guys seen Under Siege with Steven Seagal?
No, I have not seen it.
Have you, Trent?
I have not seen it.
See? This is what's so crazy. No one has seen this movie, and it is excellent.
All you had to say was Steven Seagal, and the answer was probably no.
That's the thing. That's the one note I have here. It is the only good Steven Seagal movie. I went into it being like, I'm going to go clown on Steven Seagal. What a piece of shit. I hate that guy. But no, dude.
Oh, Steven Seagal, you suck.
Steven Seagal, you're like fat and Russian now. Way to go, buddy. But no, he is amazing in this film. If he kept this going, we would be talking about Steven Seagal with like the highest order of respect. If he could have even done this in 2 films in a row. But no, he just crashed super hard after this one. I believe he starred in the sequel, Under Siege 2, Dark Waters. Didn't see that. Don't recommend.
That doesn't sound
that.
as good.
But guys, this is basically Die Hard on a battleship. He plays a cook, and you're like, but he's like such a good cook, but he's also way good with knives. And he's like got such great rapport with all the other chefs. So he's like a man of the people, salt of the earth style. But then you find out later, oh, he's like a disgraced Navy SEAL, and the captain brought him on boat and made him a cook because he wanted him to be able to get his pension or whatever. And he just happens to be locked in the freezer when they take over the boat. And only one man, Steven Seagal, that being that man, can save a boat full of just like nimbly bimbly Navy men who just run around, can't do shit. Worthless. And he saves the day.
Of course he saves the day. It's Steven Seagal.
Guys, it's Steven Seagal at his
Does he have a ponytail?
Only good movie. And does it what?
Does he have a ponytail?
For sure has to have a ponytail.
Does he have a ponytail? I mean, he's in the Navy, right? They have pretty strict regs. Sarcasm.
If he doesn't, I'm out. I'm so sorry.
Does he have a ponytail? Let's see. Steven Seagal.
Under Siege. See, it doesn't look like he has a ponytail, JD. What kind of movie is this?
Dude, Peterson, you joke, but maybe that's the sign of a good Steven Seagal movie.
The
maybe
ponytail?
All the bad one. The ponytail is what tanked his fucking career.
Oh my gosh.
Because he is great in this.
Reverse Samson? The shorter hair is, his better he is? He's a reverse Samson.
Yes, exactly. So, guys, check out Under Siege on Hulu. As far as I can't really remember, it's not even that offensive. 90s movies, you always got to be like,
uh-oh, what are they going to say?
Wind through my teeth once. Yeah, and you're going there thinking Steven Seagal is going to be job. I mean, it's not like there's uncomfortable stuff, but it's not like, wow, holy shit. Yeah, check it out. Under Siege.
Okay.
And then someone else has a kudos?
Yeah, I do. So Disney Plus just this week Disney made a new movie, put it out. It's called Luca. You've probably seen it. You've probably seen at least an ad for it or a picture of it. It is, guys, it is so wonderful. It felt good watching the whole thing. I may have teared up a little bit at the end, which is the sign of any good Pixar movie.
Is it the kind of tears where you're like, I don't know if I can ever watch this again, though?
No.
Okay,
it's like happy. It's
Okay,
like
good.
That feels really good type of tears. Like, oh man, that's so sweet type of thing. It's about a boy who in the Italian Riviera, he is a sea monster. He's a sea creature. He's a little like mermaid looking thing, but more reptilian. And he lives under the water, starts off with some really, aerial Little Mermaid vibes. And when he goes above water, he turns into a boy. And it's about his summer with his new friend that he's met. And they go hang out in town for the summer, and all sorts of shenanigans happen. It is funny. It's got like a nice overall like message. The message is always good because the Pixar Pixar movies have an underlying message. So that's really great. The characters are fantastic. I mean, everything was awesome. I loved it so much. I sat down with my kids, turned it on. None of them were interested. But after like 4.5 hours of Bluey, which I love, Bluey again,
Bluey
amazing,
is so good.
But after 4.5 hours of Bluey, I was like, "Okay, we got to switch." So I put on Luca. They were all mad, and then they were all glued to it, and they loved it so much. So if you have Disney Plus, definitely 100%. Even if you don't have kids, watch Luca. I loved it so much. It was wonderful.
Is Bluey the dad?
No, Bluey's the older girl dog.
Who's the dad? Peterson, you remind me of the dad.
Yeah, I just don't have the cool accent. I wish I
you're
did.
Basically the dad in Bluey without the accent.
Like half of my favorite thing about Bluey is the New Zealand accents. I love it so much.
Yeah, it's just the cutest show.
Yeah.
Okay, dudes. So I apologize. It is just the episode of apologies from JD.
JD Culpa.
JD.
That's not a good one.
Jaya Culpa. I don't know. It's a fucking mess. You'll have to edit this whole thing out. So E3.
I'm gonna edit in double. I'm gonna edit it harder.
Just repeat.
Auto tune it into a song.
Harder. E3 was not over when we recorded and or published last week's episode. I was unaware that it was going till Tuesday or some shit.
Like all the big stuff happened over the weekend, but there was some stuff that trickled in the rest of the week,
like
right?
what? And so we missed some of the things on Monday, all of the things on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So we have an E3 part 2.
Part
Judea
2.
Culpa.
E3P2.
Yeah, E3P2.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll just kick it off. We'll just start. It's a shorter list, and it's pretty Nintendo heavy because I think that's what we missed was the Nintendo Direct.
Yeah.
That was either during or after we recorded the show.
Yeah.
So we'll start with the big one for me and Phil. Metroid 5. Oh my God, you guys. So Metroid has not released a mainline 2D title since Metroid Fusion for the Game Boy Advance in 2007. Is that what it was?
And I know I was expecting a Metroid Prime.
No, it wasn't.
Game.
It was like 2004.
I was not expecting this.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Is this a good surprise?
Is after Metroid Fusion came out in 2002, they released Metroid Prime, which is the first like 3D Metroid.
Okay.
And everyone was like way into it, and then they just kept releasing Prime games. And they were all the console games, and they didn't have.
And they
any
were
handhelds.
fine, but they weren't Metroid.
Yeah, that's the thing is that this game Metroid, I was always so bugged that the fact that they turned it into first person because it was a 2D side scroller, and I know like there's no way really to do first person in 2D, but they did this. They took a 2D side scrolling game and then they made it first person. And
I feel like back in that generation though, like N64, early GameCube and stuff, I felt like they felt like they needed to make everything 3D.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was like they didn't want 2D games to exist. Yeah.
Yep. And
they finally could, so they were like, well, we have to. Everything's going 3D. Once Mario 3D came out, it was like everything's got to be 3D.
And these things just kind of languish sometimes, and there's so many things on like Nintendo gamers' wish lists perpetually.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we want a Pokemon MMO. We want an open world Pokemon game. We want a Metroid Fusion sequel. Like, there's so many things that we're waiting for all the time that we never get, that it just kind of just drifted off into that nebulous world of feeling like, well, they're never going to make another one. 2002? Guys, it was 19 years ago. And it's safe to assume you're never going to get another 2D Metroid title. So when this game, the trailer starts and it's 3D and it says not game footage. So I'm like, great. So it's a Metroid Prime 5 or 6 or whatever. And they're just going to show us a cutscene from it. Cool. and that plays for like 10-15 seconds, and then it switches. It sets up the drama, and then it switches to 2D, and it reveals that it's a 2D side-scrolling game. Oh my god!
I guess people are freaking out about this.
Guys, the people should be freaking out about this. It is. I'm just it.
But it's not just a side-scrolling Metroid game. It's also like it's a kind of a spiritual successor to Metroid Fusion because it has the same gameplay mechanics.
That's what was
right?
so cool to me. Was it
Continuing the story, right?
After 19 years, it seemed it would be safe to be like, we're gonna reboot, or we're gonna tell a different Samus story. We're gonna go back to her early days. We're gonna do one set between this one and this one. And no one would have cared. No one would have been like, oh, you guys should have done a Metroid Fusion sequel. Because Metroid Fusion, if you guys don't know this, is set at the very, very end of the timeline, the Metroid timeline. Like, very end. And all the Metroid Prime games, I believe, take place before it. And so it would be totally understandable to just leave it there. But the idea is that they're rolling this out as a direct spiritual successor and sequel, as if there was no time lost between these two games. And that is so appreciated. I'm so grateful for that. That's so cool. It's like, imagine if Kingdom Hearts 3 came out, but it was like actually good. Because that's kind of what they did with Kingdom Hearts 3. It did carry over a lot of the gameplay, and it was very similar, but you're like, oh, fuck, I actually didn't want this.
That wasn't what I wanted.
Ooh, I actually remembered that Kingdom Hearts doesn't hold up, but like a 2D side-scroller always will.
Yeah. There's always an audience for these types of games. I'm excited for Metroid fans because it feels like this is what you all have been pining for for years, and now maybe you all can just be quiet about it.
Hey, now.
I know.
Or
I'm just
expect
joking.
more. Because I bet this game sells buco bucks. And
it's going to sell a ton.
Shit, we should do more of these because they're easy.
Dude, the pre-sales... We watched this unfold on our Discord.
Oh, my God.
The pre-sales for the special edition or whatever, where you get all the extra swag, were like sold out immediately before they even existed. So, wow, I think this game is going to be gigantic. And if the game is good, this is like people are going to be saying Game of the Year. Like if the game is good, they're going to be saying Game of the Year. This could be a massive deal.
What's really interesting to me that I think we could do an entire podcast about is the fact that this game spawned an entire, it's called Metroidvania. We talk about this genre of games all the time. This is typically a side-scrolling game, but can be 3D, in which you start with very limited abilities in a very small area, and as you unlock more abilities, you unlock more areas. However, it does require a lot of backtracking. Like you go to one area that you've been looking at this door the whole game, and you finally have found the special key that lets you get in that door that unlocks the new area. But you've been walking past that door all game long because it's between two areas or something. That's the Metroidvania, and you generally get, like, for example, like a double jump allows you to jump just a little bit higher to that
high enough to get up to the ledge.
Opens a new area. So that's what Metroid set up, the very bare bones of this genre. And then they just went to sleep. They just hibernated for 19 years. Now I know they were doing Prime, and Prime definitely has the same Metroid elements, but it's not the same. There was the
other M that came out that was like, it was a side-scrolling Metroid, but it never took off. Most people don't know about it. It came out in 2010 for the Wii.
Oh, and I do have to mention, since we're getting pedantic, I should mention Zero Mission was a side-scrolling Metroid game that did come out after Fusion, but it was basically just a remaster of the first Metroid game, like a shot-for-shot remaster. But it was still good. It was still fun to play. It just made me itch more, though, for more Metroid, if anything. And so I am just really interested to see when, the old champion comes back 20 years later and the game has totally changed, and he steps up to that plate and starts swinging like
freaking Rocky's back. He's gonna knock out the next young
but
buck.
Can he? Like, that's my question, is like, will we be like, oh, you're not doing anything new. You're not bringing anything to the table because we've seen so many new, unique, inventive things that have been applied to this genre. The genre has evolved beyond its source, and now we're going back to the source for the first time in 20 years. I don't know. I'm just really intrigued. I don't know if personally, for me, my love of Metroid in the series will overwhelm everything, and I'll just love it regardless.
Well, and it could just be nostalgia, but I feel like I can go back still and play like Super Metroid.
That's
and
true.
It's just as fun.
These games hold up. That's the other thing. That's why these games the popularity remains, because they are not so the graphics don't matter as much, right?
No.
They hold up no matter what, because these games are all about level design.
Yes.
And so what Nintendo does well, they are very good at level design. And so what's going to carry this game, if it doesn't do anything unique or, which it doesn't have to be honest, it has to nail level design and the story, and then people will just fall in love with it. That's it. You just have to have fun levels and a cool story.
Yep. So I'm really excited for this Metroid 5. I don't think we have a release date. What they were saying?
Yeah, it's in October.
Oh, it says yes, we do. We have
October 8th.
Yeah, so that's out this year. That's out soon.
And Nintendo's pretty good at keeping their dates.
Oh,
they're pretty good at it.
Secrets too. Another secret that they kept not so
then,
well.
Keep your secrets.
Keep your secrets, then, Nintendo. Breath of the Wild, the most recent Zelda game on this Nintendo Switch, has finally gotten a sequel announced officially. It looks so sick. It looks a lot like Breath of the Wild if you saw the gameplay from that, but with a lot more layered on top of it. It looks like there's floating platforms in the sky, a la Avatar. You have a crazy ability where you can like phase morph,
you melt into the rock, and come
through
out
the rock, and then come out on the top. Hyrule Castle, the castle that's like the main centerpiece of every Zelda game, is floating in the sky. It's wild, folks. This is just off the rails Zelda. It's like, I don't know. I can't wait to see what they built on the bones of Breath of the Wild. They didn't even announce the name of it. It's just called Breath of the Wild 2 for now, because the name of it, they are worried, will be spoiler laden, or it'll reveal the story or something.
They don't want people, because what will happen is people will start speculating early what's going to happen, and they'll get it right. They'll
get it right.
Yes,
because that's what happens on the internet now.
That's what the internet does.
No story can be unpredicted because the internet just brute forces its way to figuring it out.
Yep.
So yeah, that looks sick. Trent, I didn't hear anything from you on this.
Dude, I don't have much to say on it. I'm kind of just, it looks awesome. We don't know enough about it to really, I don't know. I'm excited for it. To be completely honest, I haven't beaten Breath of the Wild yet.
You and Peterson disgust me. I'm
like right at the end, and I just need to finish it.
Well, you have a little bit of time because this one comes out in 2022. You guys drive me nuts. Okay, next.
I'm sorry. It just didn't get its hooks into me.
You don't sound
sorry. It got
sorry.
its hooks into me. I just got distracted, and then I go back and remember how much I like it.
I had to fight Jenna tooth and nail while she was playing Hollow Knight for this game. I lost a fingernail. Next up, this is Mario Party Superstars. This was also announced. This is the next Mario Party game. This is the second one for the Switch. The Switch
pisses me off.
Why?
I'm just gonna say it.
Yes,
because
here we go.
The first Mario Party game for the Switch was just not good.
Yeah, I remember.
They never released any DLC for it ever.
Sucked.
So it was just this small. But this should not be a new game. This should be DLC for the original Mario Party on the Switch. We don't need to.
Well, considering they're
Mario
stealing
Kart
the boards
for generations,
they're stealing the boards from the N64 version too.
Yeah,
and
a bunch of the mini
games.
games.
It's been a fancy DLC, but I'll buy it. Whatever.
I'll fucking buy it. Stupid assholes.
This is more like a remaster.
It is. It's Nintendo's year of remastering all of their N64 games.
Well, and that's how they're keeping the life cycle of the Switch so long. I think it's almost double the Wii U at this point. And they honestly aren't even talking about a new console.
I mean, what was the Wii U's life cycle? Like 8 months? So.
Yeah, it was like Sega Dreamcast.
Like you finished the game and you were like, what else can I play on this?
You finished the console. You beat the one Wii U game, and then you finished the whole console.
You beat the console.
I beat the whole Wii U. And so another one from Nintendo, Pokemon Unite. This is I guess this had already been announced. We already knew about this, and there was a huge backlash that we missed.
Wow,
but I
we
guess it
missed
was just under our radar. I know we love backlashes.
What was the backlash about?
So this is a Pokemon MOBA. And the backlash was regarding the developer, which is Tencent, the Chinese studio that owns and eats every other property. And so they're developing the Pokemon MOBA. So I think people were just it's the exact same source of rage of the people that were mad about Diablo Immortal, because it was being developed, I believe, by a Tencent owned studio, was it not?
I don't remember the name of the studio.
Yeah, it was some studio that had, it was a Tencent type of thing.
Yeah.
They had their fingers in it somewhere. They've got their fingers in everything mobile.
So, this will be a Pokemon MOBA if you guys like League of Legends and Dota and HOTS, and it will be on mobile phones, iOS, Android, and the Switch. It didn't show a ton of gameplay. The trailer is mostly a dumb cinematic that is like trying to be a League of Legends cinematic, but it's Pokemon, so I don't super care.
It looks a lot like Brawl Stars, is what it reminds me the most of if you've played that. It's like that type of game. But it looks fun.
Yeah, it definitely looks like if it I think it might be free. I mean, if it's on mobile, maybe it'll be free.
I would imagine it's free. Yeah.
So might be worth checking out just for fun. I'd pay $5 to play Pokemon MOBA. I mean, I'd download a Pokemon MOBA. Like,
I mean, you could get a few hours of fun out of it if it's more than like $10 though. I don't know about that.
I don't know. Okay, and so that is all we have out of Nintendo.
Well, yes. Wait, is it?
Did we have one more?
Yeah,
I shifted some stuff around. Yeah.
Oh, no, that's PC.
Nope.
Sorry. Yeah. Well, we'll go down your list. So Peterson, do this one.
So
that's Nintendo.
Advance Wars.
Oh, that's Nintendo.
That's a Nintendo one.
Okay, do it. I didn't see that one.
So I've got mixed feelings about this. So Nintendo also announced, I think it's called Advanced Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp.
Good Lord.
Yeah, I don't know about the name. Yeah, can we get that on the list? Stat.
Oh, God, what a dumb
name. And reboot is RE/boot.
It's like they had to use every single symbol they could.
A plus, a colon, and a dash. They did
just
good.
Drawn an emoji.
They did well. So this is, if you ever played any of the Advanced Wars games, there's been a lot of games out there like this, but Advanced Wars was a game for me that I actually played on the on my DS.
Game Boy Advance, wasn't it? Oh.
Well, I played it on the DS. It was on Game Boy as well. This game has been around specifically on handheld devices. And so people are excited. New Advanced Wars game. This is from what I understand, a lot of this is a remaster essentially of other Advanced War titles, but what they've done is they've totally revamped the look of it. And this is where maybe my gripe comes in, because if you watch the video, they've revamped it completely to where it looks almost like Pokemon, right? It looks like it's very cartoony and shiny.
Mm-hmm.
The characters look like they should be from a Pokemon game, which that does not going to take away anything from the gameplay, where it's a turn-based strategy. You know, you're matching up different types of troops against, you know, whoever they're strong against, and moving. You know, they have movement and range, and you know, there's terrain bonuses and all that sort of thing.
You're saying the original wasn't like a super anime title?
No,
it was cartoony, but not like to this extent.
Look up Advanced Wars Days of Ruin. It's a completely different feel to it, and so I don't know if I love the cartoony direction. It looks like a mobile game. To be honest, it looks exactly like a mobile game. But for the right price, I'll still play it, because the Advanced Wars games are loads of fun. Just I had so much
I
fun
can see
playing
what you're
these.
saying. It is.
See, the original Advance Wars though was more cartoony. If you look up the one on the Game Boy Advance,
And then they
but it
moved away
wasn't-
from it.
and then they moved away from it. Yeah,
Yep. So I don't know. I just don't like the shiny cartoony as much. Again, it looks like a mobile game to me. But I mean, look, if the game's fun, it won't matter. If the gameplay is solid, which it will be because it's Advance Wars, I'm in. So this definitely has my eye. And I know this is going to sound crazy to a lot of people, but of the whole Nintendo Direct, this might be the one that caught my eye the most. Because I didn't love Breath of the Wild, right? I don't love Metroidvania games because of I hate backtracking. And so this is the one that got me like, I perked my interest. And so Advance Wars 1+2: Boot Camp.
Kill me. Re-boot camp. Why did they throw that camp in there at the end?
And why did they
association
split up
game?
re and boot?
That whole
Reboot
title
is a word.
is a word association game. All right, so another one is Starfield. This one we did talk about last week, but we did have a little bit more that came out about it in an interview that Todd Howard, the studio head, gave to the Washington Post. He did talk a little bit about their inspiration for the game. Says the game draws heavy inspiration from Star Wars and
Really?
Skyrim. He says Skyrim in space. He says
Starrim. It's called
Starrim.
Starrim.
Sky Wars.
Nice. Sky Wars sounds sick.
Sky Wars does say that's got to be a thing already.
I'm thinking
Please
like
hold.
pirate ships that fly. That's where
Yes,
I'm going with
Sky Wars is
Wars.
100% definitely a thing. already.
So yeah, I mean, we don't really know much more. It's supposed to come out late next year. I think we can then comfortably count on, I would say, Q1 or 2 2023 as a safe bet, but who knows?
Yeah.
I'm cautiously optimistic.
What kind of game is this supposed to be?
It's an RPG. It's like Skyrim, so it's
Like
not
an
going to
open
do
world?
multiplayer. They're not going to be dabbling in bullshit like Fallout 76 did. I think they're just going to get back to their roots. They're going to do it with space, which is kind of like the next logical conclusion for them. They started out doing
the Final
medieval
Frontier
games, and then they did a post-apocalyptic game, and now they're going into space. I mean, what else are you going to do? A zombie game? Fallout's got that covered. Yeah, I don't know. I'm really hoping it's good. It would be really cool if we're looking back on this and we're like, dude, remember when we didn't even know how good Starfield was? Because there was a time when we didn't even know what to expect out of Skyrim. And look at the phenomenon that became. So It could be cool. Could be really cool. I hope it's cool.
By the way, the Starfield website, when you click on it, the first image is totally like an old Star Wars poster, and I am here for it. I love it so much.
That's tight.
Yeah,
I
it's
like
sick
that.
looking.
Right. Humankind. What's this guy?
Okay, so Humankind, this is another one that I added to the doc. This is one that actually was brought to my attention by one of my friends, Stephen Lee. He brought this one up. This is a Civilization clone-ish, right? It is a competitor to the Civilization games, to Civ 6, which I love those games. Those are the types of games where probably every 4 to 6 months, I just like crave playing one of those, right? That's what I want. I want to play a Civilization type of game. So I own way too many of them on too many different things. But this looks like one of those, but it does have some interesting elements to it. There's lots of ways to quote unquote win. They tried to stay away from like winning because their whole point is like you can't win history, right? It just is what it is. So this is a Civilization type of game. What makes it different is the civilizations around you are going to heavily affect your civilization, what it ends up being. You'll have to pivot quite a bit your strategy. So I know in Civilization games, I'm like, well, I'm a military civilization every time.
Every single time. Gotta
And
build some nukes.
I just kill everything that I can.
Yep.
And
They're
this
living
game,
in your land.
right? Just for they have a place I want, so I'm going to take it.
It's mine now.
This game, at least what they're claiming, is that you're going to have to change your strategy quite a bit throughout the different ages of humanity, and so
that's fun.
And your empire will change. So, like the first age has 10 different civilizations you can be, right? The Aztecs and the Chinese, right? But then they'll change. In the second age, it will be different. It will look different. You won't be the Aztecs going into the 21st century. So looks interesting. I'm definitely going to keep my eye on this one. There's a lot of new things that they've tried to add. All the people who have played it are reportedly saying it takes a lot of the issues with Civilization and really fixes those, and adds a couple more things that are make the genre interesting again. So Humankind really got my eye on this game.
Okay, that sounds sick.
I think it's supposed to release in August.
Oh man, that's dude. You called it. You really did. I know you said you wanted games out now, but there are so many E3 games that they announced, and they're like, they're out in a couple months.
Yep.
Like, you can get your hands on these soon.
At third quarter, fourth quarter, they're all coming out.
So cool. I think they knew to just hold off on what they could and announce it here and get people hyped.
Yeah.
Our last one, this wraps up E3 for 2021, is Elden Ring. Elden Ring, what on earth is this crazy nonsense? This is the game that, if you guys remember, George R. R. Martin, the writer of Game of Thrones, he has been working on like the world building for it.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys, what is going on? What is going on in this trailer? It's
guys,
made by From Software.
A dragon catches a lightning bolt
And like
it's
throws
the coolest
it like
thing
Zeus.
ever.
Dude, this is the guys that did Dark Souls. If you remember those games, this is From Software. Those games that were just known for being like punishingly difficult. So this game, you could probably expect it's going to be one of those types of games where you're trying to memorize an enemy's attack patterns so that you can kill them in just the right way. And by enemy, I mean these gigantic, huge super bosses that are like Trent said, a gigantic dragon. That's not scary enough. The dragon can throw lightning at you.
He catches it and slams it into the ground at you.
Dude, that whole scene is so cool.
Yeah,
so effing crazy.
Yeah, the trailer looks fantastic. I know this is going to be, if it's anything like one of those Dark Souls types of games, that's not going to be my jam. But I'll be tempted to play this because, look, say what you want about George R. R. Martin.
Guy can write it. He can do world building.
He can make a good story. And if this really caught his passion, caught his interest, right, and he had fun with it, I mean, look, this video game could have a fantastic story to it. And that's what's caught my eye. But man, this trailer, every single scene looks so cool.
Every single scene is a new crazy boss.
Yeah, you're like,
enemy.
I think I know what this game is. Wait, no, I don't. Never mind. Oh, wait, this is a horror game. Wait, never mind. It's not.
Like, honestly, tell me if I'm wrong on this, Peterson, but every single enemy you see that the character fights in this game could be the final boss of any other video game.
100%.
Every single enemy.
They're big, too. Yeah.
And if they're not big, they're like the one that stabs the guy, throws. It looks like he's throwing the character up in the air and then skewering you.
Or he's like that big fat guy that has like a bowl of fire on his head that like spews fire from his head. I'm like, that's the end guy of another game.
That's
where
the
all
end
the
boss.
Energy from not finishing Game of Thrones went.
Yes,
So,
it all just got poured into every boss from this game. So we don't really know much about this game. Beyond the fact that it is written by George R. R. Martin, looks absolutely crazy, and is coming out of in January of next year.
If the story isn't legendary, he's going to be murdered. George R. R. Martin is going to be murdered. He won't live.
One good sign, I'm pretty sure, and feel free to correct me, listeners, if I'm wrong on this. I do think this will come out in January. From Software is pretty good at shipping titles in a timely fashion. They have a ton of games shipped, and they don't have a ton of games that I remember being delayed. Did Sekiro Shadows Die Twice get delayed? Because I feel like that came out on time. And that was one of their more recent ones. Anyway, is that it? Did we do it all? We did it all.
We got them all. We got all our E3 mea culpas.
JD a culpa.
JD a culpa.
Now is the good part of the show, guys. This is the part you've all been waiting for. The part where Peterson and
this is the part you've been
Chivalry
waiting for.
2. So just fast forward the next 25 minutes, because this is all we're going to do is sit here and gush about this stupid, amazing game called Chivalry 2.
I think you remember us playing. We talked about Chivalry. We've talked about Chivalry 1 before.
Mm-hmm.
This would have been very early on in the podcast.
Yeah,
but we did talk about Chivalry 1.
It came out originally in 2012?
I don't know. But it is a medieval multiplayer battle game where you are playing as a single character. So think first-person shooter, but you're using melee weapons, right? That's how I describe it to people. You are a soldier in a medieval battlefield. You're a nobody. You are a grunt. You're not some sort of legendary hero. You're not a ninja. You're just a body. And you go in there. You've got all sorts of weapons you can choose from, unlock different weapons. They're all fun. They're all crazy. And you just go in and hope you can get a couple kills before you die.
So this game started, the first one was a mod of Half-Life 2.
Oh, that's right.
And so that was not, and then they kickstarted the first Chivalry game, and they were able to get that funded through Kickstarter.
I forgot about that.
And then they founded the studio, Torn Banner, I believe, is the studio, and it's 11 people. And then the craziest fucking thing you've ever heard, they actually they were all working and made Chivalry remotely, the first one. And then in 2015, they got together and moved to Toronto and actually created a in-house studio. They went from remote to non-remote.
They went the other way.
Yeah, crazy. So they decided to do that, and then this was kind of the result, that they worked on Chivalry 2 for a couple years, and they basically remade. It seems like to me, Peterson, they remade it from scratch.
So,
right?
Yeah, it has what it feels like is Chivalry 1 was so fun, but it definitely had its problems. Tiny bit janky, you know what I mean? It didn't feel crisp. It feels like they took the bones of Chivalry 1 and they're like, okay, let's do this right this time.
Yeah.
Chivalry 1 was popular.
It was way fun.
They made money off that. And so then I think they did what they're supposed to do and took that money and said, let's make this, let's do this thing, let's do it better. And honestly, the game feels like the same game almost. In terms of, it's the same thing, just better. And that's what you want the sequel to be.
In every way, it's better.
They didn't try to add any funky stuff, They didn't try to add anything crazy. They just took what wored.
They didn't even try to add anything, period. Let's be honest, dude.
They added 2 levels. Some of the levels are the same.
The exact same levels from Chivalry 1. I don't know that they added a single new weapon. Maybe they added different, essentially skins for the weapons, but they still function exactly the same.
That's
you could have 5 different polearm tips, but the polearm is going to function exactly the same. It'll have no effect on gameplay.
And you can. I think what's new is you can throw them. I don't think you
that's
could
the
throw
one
them
new
before.
thing is you can
And
throw
you can
your
pick up
weapons.
someone else's weapon.
But I want to say you could do that before, dude.
I don't. You couldn't pick up weapons. I know you couldn't pick them up.
Oh yeah. So there's these tiny little tweaks
That makes it, and they're better.
But here's the thing. This is what we're saying is so excellent about this game, and we were worried we were going to gush too much. Is that all of that? The fact that they essentially just repackaged the old game and just handed it to us. And I am so not upset. I
Not
would be
even a
upset
little
if
bit.
they'd done anything differently, honestly. Like they just knew they had some gold and they just polished it up and they're like, here, we just made it a little better. And I'm like, yeah, you did. Hell yeah, way to go.
It looks better and it feels better. And that's all I care about.
The combat is so tight. So you guys, this starts out as a mod of a game that is not based on melee combat. Half-Life 2 does have melee. It does have the guy has a crowbar, but it is like his base level weapon. You're not really meant, unless you're cheesing or trying for an achievement, you're not really meant to use the crowbar exclusively as your weapon. And they took that game and the gameplay mechanics and they built an entire game of melee combat around it. So as you can imagine, didn't start super tight. The combat wasn't super tight, but it is definitely unique. And that's what makes that game so fun, is that it's not like, you know what I really hated because it wasn't Chivalry, Peterson, was
For Honor.
For Honor.
Yep.
I wanted it. I
wanted
For Honor is
Ubisoft
what they
Chivalry.
could have done with this game, and it would have made me hate it.
Yep. I wanted Ubisoft Chivalry, and they just ruined it.
The whole thing, For Honor, where you had to like square off with people and line up with them and perfectly block everything. And you had to know where their attack is coming from and block exactly that direction.
Yep. No.
None of that is fun to me.
No, I don't want to do any of that. I want to go in and swing my sword and chop off 2 or 3 heads before I get lit on fire by an archer.
Or an arrow comes out of nowhere and just hits me in the back of the head. Because I'm not even mad.
That's what combat was. So let's go back a little bit. So these are massive battles. What's the biggest one you do?
It's 32v32 is the biggest.
It's the biggest battle you do.
You got to picture 62 players on a battlefield is pretty substantial.
Yeah, like 60 plus people on a battlefield, melee, right? In a melee battlefield.
Handful of archers that is limited. There's
yes,
a
that's what I was
finite
going to say.
Amount of archers you can even have.
Yeah, if like there's too many archers on your team, you can't pick archer. It won't let you. And so you go out there and you just run in. You've got a short list of moves you can do. There's the basic swings. There's like swinging while you're moving. There's a stab, like a thrust type of move. There's an overhead slash, and then you hold down your move and then makes a power. And that's like the basics. And that's what and a block.
That's all you need, really.
That's what I use.
Have a good time
90% of the time. And you just run in, and it's these squaring off, exactly how you picture, like think of Game of Thrones battles, right? 2 armies, you're just running head to head, and you just like somebody on your team's fighting someone else on the other team. You just run in and stab that guy on the other team. He's dead. And you guys move on to the next guy. You get your head cut off by someone from behind. It's just a mess, and it is so fun the whole time. And huge accolades go to the point that I legitimately do not care if my team loses a match. Not even a little bit. I'm not mad.
Having fun every
I'm not salty
second of every match.
I'm just having a blast the whole time.
This objective. I'm like, I don't care if we don't take the objective. I just cut off 2 guys' heads.
You're like, no one's taking the objective with me, and then you're just like, oh well, you run off to go fight somebody.
Yeah. You're like, whatever.
I guess we're not doing that. We're just going to kill people, I guess.
I was telling Jenna one of the things I love about this game is like there's so many moments that feel cinematic, like movie type moments, and they are happening everywhere on the battlefield at all times. Like you're fighting, you're holding off 3 guys, and you're constantly getting beat, and your shield, your wooden shield, is taking damage.
It's getting smashed to bits.
It explodes on your arm, and you're standing there prone before 3 guys, and all of a sudden one gets shot by a crossbow bolt. And then a guy comes out of nowhere with a huge greatsword and lops off both their heads, and you're standing there facing each other as you pant and catch your breath, and you're like, okay.
And you guys covered in blood.
But dude, guys, this is happening always. Like, it was so
Yeah.
cool. I was playing an archer for a minute, and I was just kept looking in the battlefield, and when I would find these fights where like I could see my teammate was getting beaten down, I'd wait, and then I'd just take my shot, and 9 times out of 10 I'd kill the guy. And so I'm picturing it from my
Saving your
teammates' perspective of fighting this guy off, and then all of a sudden he just gets taken out by an arrow. I think there's this scene in Game of Thrones. I think it's during the Battle of the Bastards where Jon Snow's it's that really well orchestrated, choreographed scene where he's stumbling through the battlefield, and there's a guy that's coming up to kill him, and he's like, ah, and then all of a sudden a horse comes running across and takes that guy out, and Jon Snow just keeps walking because he's like, okay, like thank God
that's
that
what this
fucking
game
happened.
is like.
That's what this game is like in every moment.
You're getting lit on fire. And another thing I'll say is this game does not take itself too seriously.
No.
At all. Like the dialogue options, you can like yell. There's like a battle cry as you're running in, and they all say, they all sound stupid. None of them sound good or terrifying.
Dude, here's the thing, and you may not have noticed this, but there's like 4 or 5 different voice options you can choose for the male character, but for the female, there's just one. Yeah. And I have to look this up because I have to figure out who
the voice actor is,
and give her kudos. Because she has like 5 or 6 of these war cries, and one of them you can tell she was in the recording studio, and they're like, give us a good one, and she gives it to him, and they're like, no, like really give it a good one, and she's like, no, and she gives it, and they're like, no, give us the good one.
We want you
and
to go for it.
And it is, dude, it is. Jenna like made me turn it off. She's like, you have to put your headphones on.
Yeah.
You can't do this anymore. Because I just kept screaming and screaming and screaming over and
you
over.
can do that at any point.
Yes.
You can scream at any point. The dialogue options are stupid. You can pick up like I threw a piece of chicken at somebody. There's like food in the town. I grabbed just to see if I could. I picked it up and lobbed a piece of chicken at a guy. You throw boulders at them. I'm telling you, this game doesn't take itself too seriously. It's perfectly fun to just go through and kill. There's enough stuff that you can like unlock to have objectives.
Yes.
You can master a certain class if you want. Or you can just do what I do. I just put it on shuffle and just like whatever game wants to give me, I'll play that class. And when you chuck your sword at somebody and kill them, I can't not laugh. I laugh every time. When I'm playing by myself, I laugh because I just threw my sword at a guy. I'm running around with just a shield,
and it's going to stick out of his body too.
Oh yeah, that's
it'll
the other
spear
piece.
him perfectly because the graphics are so much better now.
You'll be fighting a guy who has an axe sticking out of his chest.
Yeah,
right. You can lob off people's arms, and they're going to still try to fight you with one arm.
I killed a guy. I should have gotten an achievement. I got my arm cut off by a guy, and then I killed him before I died of blood loss. I stabbed him in the face with a sword, and I was like, I didn't even know I could do that. And I just wanted, and then of course I did my scream and then died. And then I just promptly died. Yep. One of the things that I think is just so great that I love about it too is the, for me personally, it scratches that itch, and Peterson knows about this. I like no responsibility. I don't want any responsibility in a video game, a multiplayer video game. And so, like, if I, for example, playing a MOBA, if I'm like the ADC character, if I'm a character who, or the jungle, it really depends on me doing well whether or not we win. I'm gonna choke. I'm not a good quarterback. I'm gonna choke every time. But in this game, because it's 32 on 32, there's no pressure whatsoever. And I think that's partially, Peterson, why you don't care if you lose, because like, even if you are God mode and you are just crushing people and doing an insane amount of damage and killing people right and left, if you're the only person on the objective and you're trying to push it solo, it's not going anywhere.
No,
you just can't. You can't win by like sheer force of will or talent in this game.
Nope.
You have to have a pretty decent like teamwork.
Your team has to be doing well,
and if it's not happening, it's not your fault, and you can just kind of like rest easy that you
guys.
Just
there's team damage. And no one gets mad. Like I've killed so many teammates. Just swinging my huge broadsword.
Single person get mad at me in the chat. I have killed guys that were like winning their battle, and I came in to help them, and they moved, and I ended up chopping their heads off.
Yeah,
and I'm expecting
on your own
them
team
to come in and chat on my own team and like, Decent, you stupid asshole, why would you kill me? Oh, I'm on your team.
Yeah.
Never
Not once.
happens. The community is just like having as much fun as everyone else is.
Yep.
They're in no rush to ruin that. I will. Okay, so let's do the one nit, Peterson, because I know it's the exact same thing. The menus in this game are so laughably bad that if you judged this game by its menus alone before you even got into the gameplay, you'd be like, wow, this may be the worst game I ever play.
Yeah, the menus
As someone that plays
are
a lot
wild.
of early access games, a lot of alpha titles, this is really fucking bad, even by those standards. I'm like, okay, so for example, your character that Peterson mentioned, you can do an archer, a soldier, a knight, or a spearman or something. That's like roughly what it is. And you can only see those characters in your progress because you can level those guys up, and then they each have 3 different types that you can level individually and unlock. You can only view them in game.
You can't view them in the menu.
And by the way, I mean in game. If you want to just casually browse, see how far you've progressed with a guy, well, the whole game's going on around you because you have to be doing this in a match. No way to do it in the menu.
Yeah, the menus
crazy.
The customization options are not really there yet. They'll get there.
Use.
They'll get there. Like, they're not cool. I can't figure out like what I'm doing. Some of the time it takes me a long time to. So yeah, the menu's
because you
bad.
have to fight against the menus. If you select like, okay, so I select my character and I want to change my archer. Okay, I select archer. I want to change her helmet, so I select head, and then I change her helmet or whatever, and then there's no other options. I have to go all the way back to the very, very beginning.
Yes.
There's that, and so it's very, very frustrating to change a single character that way.
Yeah, so I haven't done like hardly any customization because it doesn't really matter.
But
and the other nit, JD, the other nit, which we have to talk about, dude. The what is it called? The where you're trying to team up with you're trying to make a party. The party system.
That's the menu too.
But this is like part 2 of the menu nit. Trying to party up. The only way, if there's 3 of you, you have to budget 8 to 10 minutes. Because
and so many restarts.
What you have to the only way to redo it is to just close down the game, reboot it back up, and hope when JD invites me, I'm gonna see it this time.
And then if you got 3 people, all 3 of you are doing this just kind of randomly. But once you get 2 together, well, then that third person is now on the
you're
hook,
it. Yeah.
And they just have to
restart.
The only one. They're restarting their machine. They're restarting the game. You know what's so funny, Peterson, is I looked this up. This is a known issue, of course.
Yeah, of course.
And did you know what we were doing? We just discovered this on our own. This is the suggested solution.
This is the only solution.
They're like, just fucking restart it over and over and over again because they're like not sure what's doing it. They're not sure what the bug is, but they know that restarting fixes it. So I'm glad we discovered it because some people just gave up on the game.
Because once JD invites me, he can never invite me again until I restart.
Yeah,
like that option does not exist.
You're going to get the invite. Dude.
Yeah. So the menu and team making or whatever it's called, that's rough. But once you get into the game, all is forgiven. All is forgiven.
Yeah, and that's why we're like willing to fight those 10 minutes worth of menus because we're like, all right, I just really want to play this game.
Yep.
Do you want to save our dear game devs or do you want to do it?
Let's see. We're an hour and 12 in, so let's save it. Because you got to pick your game, your dice.
I already got it picked, but okay.
Yeah, no, you got to say it.
You don't want to talk about Chivalry for another 20 minutes, is what you're saying?
Trent's asleep.
Dude, I enjoyed that. I've just been taking it in. Just taking notes.
That's a good point.
Trent, you were supposed to stop
Trent
us.
Was fucking here, dude. He's not on camera.
So did I, honestly.
JD just booted up Chivalry. Actually, during this whole conversation, we've been trying to team up. And we haven't been able to.
That's how we budgeted our time. Okay, so let's do Dice of Destiny then.
Dice of Destiny.
All right, Dice of Destiny is this awesome game we play at the end of every episode. We roll a 6-sided dice to see who will be responsible to roll the Dice of Destiny, which is a 20-sided dice with 20 different game genres assigned to it. After the person rolls the dice of destiny. They then roll another 6-sided dice to see how much money they can spend on the game. Then they have a week to pick a game in that genre, play it, and review it in the next subsequent week. And last week, I rolled a $40 adventure game, which I gotta say, the adventure tag on Steam is so broad as to be useless. It's fucking useless.
It's medium useless. If your game has any sort of storyline where your character is like going somewhere,
anywhere,
someone will tag it as adventure, which I guess opens this Dice of Destiny pick quite a bit.
So I kind of changed it. I whittled it down to adventure RPG. I had 2 different ones that were close, and I was looking at Little Nightmares 2 and Sea of Thieves, and I arrived on Sea of Thieves.
Good.
Because Peterson says he's played it and he wanted to... You played it too, Trent?
No.
Oh.
I was just saying it was a dead game because I know we were talking about that last time, Danny.
Yeah, Danny's going to yell at me every time I say it's a dead game, but the game is dying. But
you played it when it was really early, right?
Like week 1, right?
Yeah.
It came out. Spencer and I downloaded it on our Xboxes, and we played it. We had medium fun. It was fun for a little bit, but like everything was empty. You'd be like, there's an island. Let's go check it out. And there's nothing there. Like you'd wander around and be like, ooh, look at this cool little cave I found. And there's nothing in it. And so you were like, oh, everything is empty. And so you're just like, go around and shoot each other out of the cannon for a minute. And so I'm interested to hear how it's changed, which is why I wanted you to pick this one over Little Nightmares 2. Actually looks terrifying to me. I didn't want you to have to play that because I thought it
I was
very
saving
scary.
it for a horror game. It's on my wish list, but yeah, I was watching the gameplay in that, and I was like, this looks cool. And I was like, oh, that looks kind of spooky. But by the end, I was like, I need like a blanket and an adult.
Where's Jenna?
Yeah, where's Jenna? Can someone come like comfort me? I need comfort now. It was a minute and a half of just like torment.
I know Danny's probably looking at it and laughing and like, this looks hilarious.
Yeah,
and
she's stoked.
I've already peed my pants twice.
Yes. So Little Nightmares 2, it will get played by one of us at one point, but it is not this point. Sorry, folks.
Today is
speaking
not that
of spooky,
day.
though, to play us out, we've got the theme from Metroid Fusion, the SAX theme, if you guys remember. The spooky clone of Samus who stalked you through the whole game. And it was so scary.
Yeah, this is a good thing. I like this music.
Okay, guys, I'm JD. Signing off.
No one's going to hear you. We have music playing in the background.
Guys, I'm so scared. This is JD. Signing off.
I'm not going to do that. This is Peterson going to AFK.
This is Trent signing out.
Do the Blair Witch thing, Trent.
I don't remember. Yeah! What does Blair Witch do?
He did the witch. You said do the Blair Witch thing, and he went with the witch. Peterson Productions. Oh, yeah.